everybody. It's a Friday night. It's a cold Friday. It's going to be a cold Saturday as well. Might as well throw a Sunday in there too. So I've got a nice thick sweater on. I've got a nice thick tension headache. This will last for a couple more days. When I get a tension headache, I keep it for like 3 to 4 days. Maybe I should put my neck into tension, into whatchamacallit. I can't think. That's what it is. I probably have to put it. My grandfather used to have this strap he put around his whole head. And he built this contraption where he puts it on the pulley. So he had this contraption that went around his head like straps under his chin. He'd sit on a lawn chair in the basement. And then from the head harness, it would go, the rope would go up through a pulley. And then on the other end of the pulley, he fashioned a basket. He wove together a rope basket for a whole, mess of bricks. That's just it. And just kind of like pulled and decompressed his neck. Maybe that's what I need. Somebody twist my neck off. Twist my neck. Pull my head off my shoulders. Something like that. It's Friday night. Anyway, I guess the good thing is that I'm sitting here for the second night in a row with no sound issues, which means that tomorrow night, barring a snowstorm or something else, me, Anthony, Mike will be sitting here and just kind of like rapping for a little bit, hanging out like the old days, 19 years later. Oh, man. Oh, how time flies. Tonight, we're going to take a little bit of time to catch up with our good friend, Dr. Albert Taylor, who not only is, I wanted to talk to him a little bit about not only ghosts, because he does paranormal investigations, but also a little bit of overlap with out-of-body experiences, with robotics. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. And you can find a paranormal, spiritual twist to anything. I actually did a great episode today. I appeared for the first time on the Nephilim Death Squad with David and Top Lobster. And that was really nice. We went all over the place, and it was great. And they're going to be coming on this show, I think on March 27th. We're going to be talking about the Pantheon, or essentially going through a deep dive of Mount Olympus. Who were the gods of Mount Olympus? Okay, were they all just made up, or were the ancients stupid and just backwards, or are these real deities? Are these real lowercase g gods and demons and everything? So that'll be fun. That'll be on March 27th. We got good stuff coming up. Good stuff coming up. Got an off night on Monday, the 24th. I have some things I have to take care of. But the 25th, we're coming back with some fun. I think Mel K and Roseanne are going to be stopping by that night. Who knows who else? Plus your calls. Celebrity Encounters thread. I want, throwing Mr. Rogers out there too, everything. Then we got Diamond and Leah of the Oppenheimer Ranch Project on the 26th. John Barber is coming back to talk showbiz stories from a real seasoned. I told him, we talked. We said no politics that night. No politics, John. Let's just talk showbiz. Let's talk about it, because he was 93, 94 years old, and he is a vet, man. And he would mix it up with all of them. I want some Dean Martin stories. That'll be on the 27th, and a lot of good stuff worked in between. It'll be nice. Making our way into March. It's the last week of February next week, and that's just going to be a fun time. I'm really looking forward to it, because that just means that we are getting, every hour gets us closer to spring, and I can't take this anymore. I really can't take this anymore. Usually I'm gassed out of optimism in like mid to late March. It has been relentless. So I feel like I've been on, like house arrest for much of the winter, at least where we are. I know you Florida people, you Texas guys and gals, boy, you're already into summer weather sometimes. Something else. Hey, here's a little something from Leslie. Leslie's the one who tried calling in the other night when Marley Hornick was on. She emailed me. She said, Frank, I don't know if it was your technology on your end or my phone. It was not you, Leslie. But I wanted you to know how grateful I am that you hosted Marley last year. She inspired me to join United Sovereign Americans, and I was one of the speakers who went out to city councils for my county in Central California. I wanted to relay to you and her that every city council is different. At one, we were greeted with smiles and concern and love and even applause, but at another, we were scoffed at and ignored and treated like conspiracy theorists. I was also hoping to ask her what the next steps are for California. When I voted, I don't think it was ever counted. We are supposed to receive confirmation text, and I never received one. Oh, and I was mailed 2 ballots. Don't worry, I only used 1. Thank you, Leslie. So, there you have it. That's what we missed out on, and probably other great calls on Monday night as well. I think that was Monday. No, Tuesday. When did I have to run back home? Wednesday? Wednesday night. So thank you for that, Leslie. There's other things in the news tonight. Senator Rand Paul says, in case you missed it, I'm requesting to audit the gold at Fort Knox. It's moving forward. From February 19th, Dear Secretary Bessent, congratulations on your confirmation as Secretary of the Treasury. As we discussed during your confirmation, I appreciate your commitment to transparency throughout the department. Today, I write specifically about the United States Mint and the United States Bullion Depository at Fort Knox, Kentucky. According to the department, Fort Knox holds 147.3 million ounces of gold. Despite holding over half of total U.S. gold reserves, Fort Knox has not been subject to a formal audit since 1974. Prior to a visit by the Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, I remember that guy, Steve Mnuchin, and others in 2017, 42 years had elapsed since a civilian was allowed to enter and view the gold vault. While the 2017 visit was a good first step, the Mint must commit itself to be subject to regular oversight procedures. As one of Kentucky's U.S. senators and chairman of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, which is responsible for oversight of all taxpayer-funded operations, including the Mint and depository, I request an audit of the Mint's holdings, including testing of the gold, so that they are not gold spray-painted bricks of clay. I further ask for in-person inspection of the entire depository and other holdings to be conducted by my staff and I. Please coordinate, at least I think it's my staff and I, no? Please coordinate with my office to arrange for such an in-person inspection as soon as possible, but no later than March 19th of 2025. So that is on Fort Knox. We'll keep that up. Attorney General Pam Bondi, this is from Mediaite, says that Jeffrey Epstein's client list is sitting on her desk when asked by Fox News about releasing it. Attorney General Pam Bondi told Fox News on Friday that Jeffrey Epstein's client list was on her desk and being reviewed when the network asked her about releasing it. The list is alleged to contain the names of high-profile individuals, the deceased child sexual predator, that's all he was, yes, was acquainted with while trafficking young women and girls for decades. No boys. It was all an attack on girls. He was just a crazed child sex predator. He just had so much money, nobody wanted to touch him. The FBI was afraid of him. The McCains were afraid of him. That's all it was. That's Mediaite for you and everybody else. Everybody else. You're not going to get anybody speaking really straight on the subject unless you're going into the blogosphere and podcasts and everything else. So there you have that. There was a pretty interesting exchange between President Trump and the governor of Maine. I saw this posted in our Telegram, probably by John Carroll. And then I saw this on Zero Hedge when I got here at the studio tonight. You better do it. Trump destroys Maine governor for defying transgender executive order. Yeah, I know. And if you ask somebody else from another part of the media in some other part of the country, they would probably say Maine Governor Janet Mills owns Trump and his anti-trans. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, take a listen to this. So they're at a National Governors Association's meeting at the White House, and Trump told Mills that he would withhold federal funding from the state over the state's refusal to comply with the executive order that bars men from competing in women's sports under the guise of transgenderism. And look at that mean mug over there. Maine, what the hell's going on with you? You too. All right? I know the problems we have over here in New York, but what is it? Is it really Bar Harbor? Is Bar Harbor really controlling everything? I just don't get it. I don't get it what's going on in certain states that you know, I expect little from New York, okay? I expect more from other places. But listen to this exchange. I thought it was pretty great. And sign me up for 4 more years of this. Well, hold on. Let me reload the page. It was, after all, text and a Twitter embed, so why would it just play when you press play?
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with the state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Oh, you mean mugging bitch. Good for you. Good for you, President Trump. Saying, oh man, that's great. That was great. Oh, that was great. You see, that is a person. That's a guy who's been in boardroom meetings doing serious business for decades. And then you get into a room that is full with a lot of just drama school kids who just figure they can read a script about equality and be governor. Fuck them all. Seriously. So that's great. Now the only thing here is that all that federal money that Maine and every other state in this union is at this point hungry for should not be. So whether you comply or don't comply, there should be no federal money to give or take. Now, right now, obviously, that's the carrot at the end of the stick, and we'll see what the hell happens there. But this should be impetus for states like Maine to say, you know what, we want to do this or so, or don't want to do this or so, and whatever. And therefore, we want to be able to make sure that we are completely free from this kind of hostage taking with the federal government. Good. That's what. If Maine really wants boys to compete against girls in girls' sports, you know what the first thing they should be doing tomorrow morning is figuring out how to get along without all that federal money dangling over their head so that they can be held hostage in ways that the Constitution never laid out a pathway for being. You know? But I don't think that the political will for something as unnatural is actually there. At the same time, we do have to find a way of ending all this. For now, it's gives you some butterflies in your belly to see a mean mugging son of a bitch from Maine, just completely get stuffed. Anyhow, it's the headache. I'm angry at the headache tonight. You would think that I'd be a little bit happier on a Friday, but I'm going to try to dial it back and chill out. And there you go. Anyhow, that's all for the opening. let's start this one off because I want to give Dr. Albert Taylor a call. The other thing here, too, is I was going to do, we're going to take your calls tonight. With Dr. Albert Taylor, I usually call him through Skype because he usually does audio calls, which means that you guys are going to be able to call the hotline number and I'll be able to easily merge you in there. And I would love to have some of your calls. It's Friday night. I'm sure some of you are going to have questions. You're skeptical about anything, whatever you want. Call on up and we'll do that together. I'll throw that up on the screen when we're ready for that. But for now, let's get this one started off because there's plenty of things that we can set the table with before Dr. Albert arrives. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. It has only just begun. What do you think that we should do to entertain people at home?
I hate this show.
Oh, my God. So I don't look at the chat room. And now she's kind of brought that with her.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Little Massive Attack, do we have some Massive Attack? In all the times that we've had Dr. Albert Taylor calling into the show, we've concentrated solely on his out-of-body experiences and the journaling he's done and the guidance the guidelines he's put down into understanding what that transition from one state of consciousness to the next, from one plane of existence, the material world, up the ladder of the astral plane and beyond that, what that all really looks like. And there's still so many questions I have that are without answers that we can go on in that topic forever and ever until we just, wring out the towel. And I might have some of those thoughts that come up tonight. But there are other things too that I'd like to get into the mix here. Has to do with a little bit of Albert Taylor's background in science and technology. As you all know, I have his bio right here. Actually, let's just read that. Albert Taylor is a #1 Los Angeles Times bestselling author and former aeronautical engineer and scientist on the International Space Station. Dr. Taylor spent 2.5 decades evaluating systems designs on a wide variety of top-secret government programs, such as the F-117A stealth fighter and the Strategic Defense Initiative anti-ballistic missile program, aka Star Wars. Taylor was born and raised in Southern California, is currently a paranormal researcher, international lecturer, and speaker, working on his latest book, The Journey of the Cosmic Soul, a detailed scientific and spiritual study resulting from over 20 years of out-of-body, paranormal, and astrophysical research. Beyond that, he has been designing and building fully and semi-autonomous robots to support his ongoing research of various types of paranormal phenomena. That's interesting in itself. What robots are you using in your paranormal investigations? That's what I don't understand. But there's other things here too. There is this. I wanted to throw this out there, and we're going to call him right after we read this. Headline from CryptoSlate.com. User burns 600 Ethereum to send a sci-fi message warning of Chinese use of brain control devices. Ethereum transactions burning over 5 ETH and sending 591 ETH to WikiLeaks drew attention on Tuesday. This was back on February 17th. Blockchain data show that an account identified as Hugh Lezhi, Lezhi, executed a series of transfers that included donations to WikiLeaks designated addresses, transferring to null addresses representing token burns and payment to grant providers. The transactions totaling over 1,000 ETH over the past week were accompanied by on-chain messages in Chinese that allege misuse of emerging brain-machine interface technologies, like Neuralink. Blockchain records indicate that one transaction burned 500 ETH on February 17th, while additional burns of 70 ETH on February 15th, 33 on the 10th, all highlight a pattern of financial activity that appears intended to signal protest. Other transfers include donations of 591 ETH and several other transactions ranging from 25 to 300 ETH. These transfers collectively signal a dual-purpose message, a reallocation of funds toward organizations associated with whistleblowing and a symbolic act of value destruction. The combined translated burn messages read as follows. The boss of Quande Investment, Fang Jin and Zhu Yuzi, used brain-machine weapons to persecute all company employees and former employees, and even they themselves are also under control. As brain-computer interfaces and mind-reading technology continue to develop, a new form of crime has emerged. Wild animals have become puppets or complete slaves to digital machines. A new form of crime has emerged in which victims are gradually stripped of their desires and sensory experiences until they become complete slaves to digital machines. If one day I become a victim in the final stage, I would choose to leave this world. The accompanying message alleged that Fang Xing and Zhu Yuzi of Quande Investment have employed brain-machine weapons to control employees and former staff. The text claims that the brain-computer interfaces and mind-reading technologies develop victims may gradually lose their desires and sensory experiences, eventually becoming complete slaves to digital machines. Now, the question I don't understand is, I haven't seen it yet, is what everybody in this company allowed a chip to be put in their head, or is this something new? This is just like all radio wave emitted. It's like a form of hypnosis or something. One message concludes with a personal statement indicating that if the sender were to reach the final stage of alleged process, they would choose to leave this world. The funds sent to WikiLeaks, an organization historically associated with disclosures and investigative journalism, suggests an attempt to channel resources toward entities perceived as counterweights in institutional control. Simultaneously, burning ETH, a process that permanently removes tokens from circulation, appears intended to symbolize resistance or repudiation of technologies purportedly used for coercion. So that would mean the blockchain. Let's see here. Although the allegations regarding brain-machine weapons and digital enslavement evoke elements more common for speculative fiction than established technology, the choice to incorporate these claims into financial activity gives them a degree of visibility that is rare in traditional media. However, the deployment of such messages alongside of a sizable transfer of money may reflect personal distress as well as a political statement. So, the mention of being monitored and manipulated by brain control organizations since birth suggests that Hu Lezhi may be experiencing some form of psychosis rather than legitimately whistleblowing. But still, it's a lot of money. It's a big statement to be made. And what happens from this, we don't know. We just don't know. But there's more to be said. More to be said. And I want to call somebody now, because this will be an interesting topic on a number of levels.
Hello?
Hello, doctor. It's Frank.
Hey, Frank. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Are you set up for a call on this line again still?
No, we've always done it on computer. So I got my mic and all that for the computer. So this will be the first time I've ever done a Skype on my cell phone. But if that's how you want to do it and it works, I'm okay with it.
Well, I'm fine with that too. I think this is the last time we did it. I see here 4 months ago. So we did this back in October from this number. I think what we did is, I think that
I don't remember holding. Yeah. I'm holding the phone right now. I just don't remember it. That's all. If it works and my audio is good, that was the one thing I was concerned about.
Everything's
good. Then
yeah, no, everything sounds fine. So okay. As long as your arm's not going to fall asleep, then we can go with this.
Well, let me try the speaker. I'm going to set it down and see if that works and make sure I don't get any echo. And you let me know
all right.
How it sounds.
Okay. All right. You want to do a test?
Man, do I not know how to work my own?
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound too good.
Oh, man, I'm having some problems with this. My memory is faded.
Yeah, well, before it sounded fine.
That's all right. How long a show are we going to do? About a couple hours or what?
Yeah, no. Yeah, like 6-7 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
No, not
okay, no problem. 6-7 hours.
No, not too bad. You know what?
Okay.
I wanted to ask you something, and this is going to tie in nicely with a part of your bio that I had not read before, and because I know that you are heavy into robotics, but beyond that, you said you beyond he is designing and building fully and semi-autonomous robots to support his ongoing research of various types of paranormal phenomenon. We're gonna have to talk about that for a second, but before we get into that, on the robot end of things, I read a story about, I don't know, it could be just one disturbed person who is trying to reach out and just shouting into the abyss about companies in China that have already found a way to essentially enslave their employees through technology that they have, that they've been building, whether it be AI burned or anything like that. Where are you in general on AI tools and their implementation and how it's going to become more and more prevalent in society? Are you as concerned as many other people are?
You sure you don't want to save this for the show, though? Okay, I'll give you a little teaser.
Okay.
I'm not concerned in the way that the average person is. I'm not worried about. I put that Terminator picture on there as a joke, but I'm not worried about that. What I'm concerned about is that if we interface with the human brain or body and change its environment, normal environment, that affects evolution. Because if you change the environment or the behavior of a species, be it human or whatever, they evolve, and not necessarily in a positive way because of natural selection. They could become extinct depending on what the changes are. So I'm really concerned about the long-term effects of this change and how it will affect the nature of human consciousness. And I'm also concerned about how it will affect, because we've evolved to become very spiritual, and they may have had spiritual experiences in the past, but now we're having them and we can describe it and talk about it. So I'm concerned about how is that going to impact our spiritual evolution.
I think about what you do on the soul traveler end of things. I know we're going to be talking a little bit more about your paranormal experiences tonight to mix that into the greater discussion. But when we talk about out of body experiences and leaving the body, that's the first thing I thought about when we're talking about Neuralink or anything else. Aside from being able to evolve, I think about how stunting our addiction to phones that are still not actually attached to our body have been to people's just awareness. Attention level has gone down. There's a lot of ways that it's distracted us. We have given over a lot of our social lives to the allure of fake interactions and dopamine hits from social media platforms and all that stuff. So I've already seen that, and I'd never thought about the evolutionary impact of something when you put
most people don't.
Yeah.
And I am, because I'm doing my whole studies, all the studies I've done on the nature of human consciousness. So I have to look back far into the past and into the future and how we're going to evolve.
Well,
So
okay. So yeah, that's a big one. It really is.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Absolutely.
We're at a fork in the road. I mean, and we know what one way could lead to, because of natural selection, is, could lead to the end. It happens. It has happened millions of times on this planet. But there's another side to the road where it could be a real positive, but we don't know. We haven't even looked at it.
Well, I'm sure that's going to come up again in a little bit, because when we talk about the mind and unleashing the mind, we're going to have to be able to juxtapose all that together. But staying with robotics just for a little bit in your bio, tell me a little bit about. I mean, in the past, I have even gone on ghost investigations myself, limited to a degree. I've taken EVPs with friends.
They did out.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So when
on ghost, what?
Well, yeah, when you're talking about technology and paranormal phenomena, that's really all I know about it. There have been little sensory gadgets we've been around where we've been able to see if there are any kind of energetic disturbances in places that you can wouldn't be able to, it's anomalous in some way, or of course EVPs and getting into resonance on an audio level or anything like that. But when you say that you have built technologies and robotics to support your various types of paranormal work, what have you created, and what purpose have those robots served?
Well, the first case I did, I was called by a realtor to investigate a 100-year-old home out here in San Bernardino. And the reason that we were investigating is because the person that the realtor hired to clean the home up, something happened that terrified him so bad that he left the home and he refuses to go back. So I went there, and we made 2 trips. The first trip we did was basically the standard EVP, blah, 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 that type of thing, digital recordings. But then we discovered a pathway or a hidden room behind a bookshelf, like the proverbial ones you see on television. But it hadn't been disturbed in over 80 or more years. And so I did not want to have about 5 or 6 investigators tromping through, destroying this pristine area. So that's when I came up with the idea of building a robot who would leave a minimal footprint, wouldn't make any errors, and if it was dangerous in there, I'm not risking any one of my team members. So I equipped the robot with all kinds of things that we would carry, a laser temperature sensor, all the goodies, and put it on a tracked chassis and set up a base station in another part of the house. And we explored that entire cavern with a robot with a minimal disturbance to the surroundings.
And what did you find with something like that? Because first thing I think about when you talk about a hidden room that's been sealed off for 80 or 90 years, I think about conversations I've had with other explorer friends of mine, like Timothy Alberino, who I asked him if he ever, when he's peeking into maybe old ancient tombs or anything like the catacombs in other countries and stuff like that, is he ever scared of curses and like we say, curses of the mummies and things like that? And he said, no, I'm not afraid of curses, but the one thing you need to first do is make sure that the biggest danger you really have when you go into a place that has not been disturbed for so long is toxicity in the air and anything else that's going on in there. So I have to imagine the air quality is part of what you're testing for.
I didn't have any on that particular robot because that was quite a while ago, but I didn't have anything to test the actual particles in the air. Only thing we had at that time was to test the temperatures, various temperatures, ambient temperatures. But because it was a robot, we didn't have to wear masks like we would if there was a dust, and it was a lot safer for my team members in that particular investigation. I also used a robot that I built for children that it looks comical and it's colorful. And because I was doing an investigation of this one child or a mother and child, where the child was terrified of something happening, and the mirror would fall and crack, and it was all kinds of weird kinetic things going on. So I set up a robot that would sit in the corner of the room and look like maybe one of his toys or something like that. And it was mobile also. It was capable of moving around, and we did the remote base station that way, and we were able to use the robot to not scare the child and monitor the entire room. And we collected some EVPs and some digital photographs and things like that during that investigation.
And with that particular house in San Bernardino that was 100 years old, that you found the 80-year-old the room that was undisturbed
passageway.
Yeah, what did you learn about that room?
Something really strange at that one. We didn't know until we got back to our base station, so to say, our home base, and we were looking at the digital video, and this was the first time. Matter of fact, I still have it somewhere, and I can send it to you later. This was the first time that I'd actually seen a partial humanoid apparition kind of anomaly, where you could tell it was the shoulders, you could tell it was the head, and it was following my team members around, and we started to go up the stairs and back into that room area. So I kept saying, when I first saw it, I thought, what is that? And then we played it back and enlarged it, and it was actually, I had no explanation for it. It was actually some kind of transparent humanoid-shaped anomaly following us, which was weird.
That is very weird. It is.
Yeah,
because
matter of fact, I'm going to look for it, because even if you don't talk about it here, you got to see it for yourself, because it's wild.
Well,
really is.
What I'm trying to think back on is our conversation back in October, because in October when we were talking on Halloween night, you were describing when I asked you what is a ghost, especially somebody from your line of work where in many ways you're able to turn yourself into a ghost at night in a certain kind of way,
in a spiritual way,
way. And I asked, from your standpoint, especially now that you're in the paranormal investigation business, what is a ghost? And you told us that story about, what was it? It was back in down in Louisiana. Was it New Orleans?
My mother and her sister
in the kitchen.
Right.
And and so I feel like you described it in some way where there is not a lot of autonomy there for the ghost. It's almost like a broken record, almost like an energetic residue left behind. Am I right on that, or am I have that wrong?
That's only one type of encounter. That's what I'm trying to understand. How come some are like a recording playing over and over and non-interactive, and then some are semi-interactive, where they may notice you or something like that and turn back to whatever they're doing. And then others are completely 100% interactive, where they're very aware of you and act accordingly. I don't know why there's 3 different categories. I don't know if when we die, something happens to split off a part of our soul, goes one way, and this recording or astral body recording goes another way, but that's what I'm trying to understand. There seems to be 3 different images, or 3 different representations of a disembodied spirit that make no... Because I don't understand, why would we need a recording? Why would that happen? Why would ghosts say and do things that seem to be less intelligent than they were when they were alive? There's just a lot of questions regarding that. But the thing is they do. I have captured it. It does exist. I may not understand it, but it's definitely there.
Are there any open cases that you have right now? I mean, last time you were on, you said it wasn't your caseload wasn't that big, and of course, you said you had to put a lot of things on hold because of a couple of health issues that you had to get all worked out. But what about now that you're back on the horse? Do you have anything that you're working on in particular, especially when it comes to these burning questions about the 3 categorizations of ghosts?
No, nothing right at this moment. I mean, if I wanted to, I probably could. I got approached by some producers who are interested in a television show, so that I did some stuff for them to to possibly get a show. I don't know. We'll see it run up the flagpole, see the waves. But my illness really has devastated me for 4 years. And thank God, I just recently, within the last couple months, found out what it was, and it was nothing of what all the doctors said. So that floored me, and now I'm doing a lot better because now we know what it is. So that has halted a lot of things I do. But at the snap of a finger, I think, I hate to say it that way, I could have a team together and we could go and investigate things once. And I plan on letting people know that we're available again, but right at this present time, I have not.
Here's a question for you.
I want to put it on my channel because now I'm working on it again. So I want to put it on the Paranormal Spin that we're able to do that. Plus now I have a sponsor, which is the Antietam Paranormal Society. So I want to do some things with them and get involved in the channel helping us.
Is that
complimenting her?
Is that what it sounds like? Is it a paranormal society that's dedicated to experiences on American battlegrounds?
I haven't seen anything like that they've done yet, but they've come up with some great parameters to perform different types of tasks. They're just amazing. I could probably send you a few of what got my attention with them if you want. They're amazing. And I spoke with their lead a few days ago, or maybe a week ago, and I told her what I was doing, and I said that we should get together. And she was as excited as I am. So now they're sponsoring my show, and I'm going to get involved with them on some future investigative things.
Well, that's great to know that the production schedule has fired back up for your YouTube, because once you start publishing on the regular, just let me know so I keep an eye on it,
right.
and we'll start putting that into rotation on our network and stuff like that, and sharing it around. I love this, and to have any kind of inside baseball into what you're working on is really exciting. But getting back to the tools that you employ, I know that I asked you this before. I asked you this before about let's say you're called in to investigate a haunted house. There's poltergeist activity. There's anything like that. Would you ever, as a part of your investigation, let's say that you're staying at a hotel down the street, would you ever, as a part of your investigation, in the night, you go back to your hotel, you prepare your grounds, whatever the hell, you prepare the room in whatever way that you're going to trigger an out-of-body experience, and you are going to go and travel over to the house that is in question and take a look at it with a new pair of eyes? Have you ever employed that as a tool in your investigations? I forget the answer.
20 years ago, I tried. But it's become a spiritual thing, and it's not like it doesn't work that way. As a matter of fact, it's really complicated. That experience and that consciousness doesn't care about what I do in the paranormal. It's irrelevant. So I tried 20 years ago and realized that wasn't why I was able to even do any of this, and it was going in a different direction. Matter of fact, it's all about spiritual evolution and my personal spiritual evolution. So some people have done remote viewing, which is kind of close to that, but they haven't investigated the paranormal. So I don't know if there's somebody else out there who would be interested in that, but in my particular experiences, it doesn't work like that at all. It's just, like when a person has a near-death experience, a lot of times they aren't in control of what's going to happen either, unless they go visit somebody at a separate location, and then they're taken into the tunnel. It's kind of like that. You have a little bit, like I have a little bit of control in my house when I leave my body and things like that. But if I'm going to venture beyond that, almost anything could happen because I'm not alone. That's the part I don't talk about very much. But you're not alone. You have company.
Oh,
and it kind of guides you through your experience.
Yeah, that's the thing that's always been, most people would ask the question, what kind of company and what kind of company are we keeping when you leave the house, when you leave your body? Because I was just having this conversation today. I've never seen remote viewing or even out of body experiences, because I have friends who, they are jettisoned out of their body without them doing anything to try. They don't try to do it, anything like that. They actually don't like the experience, but it happens. It's been happening.
Spontaneous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is that, but in as far as judging whether or not it is inherently a good or a bad thing or anything like that, I never broad stroke anything like that, because just like in life, we have guides in life. We have our parents, we have our teachers, we have our grandparents, our friends, whatever, and we're all living in a material world that you're trying to pick up on people's experiences and learning things, so that you go out into the world that is full of opportunities for good and bad experiences, but you have some bearings, you have some direction out there. Going into any kind of non-physical world is just essentially another universe that you need guidance in or protection in, that we don't have any kind of education in that respect. So it's a lot more of a scary thing to leave the body.
I would say we don't have any. I did write a book about it.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
And I did describe what's going on and how to do it. And a friend of mine, William Buhlman, who has written several books about it also. So that's the thing about it, is when I first started this, I come from a very superstitious family, and there, unless you go up into a monastery or a monk, talk to a monk, you're really not going to talk about this subject at all. So that information is not shared with the public. But now I believe that we can meet without being burned at the stake and things like that, and we can talk about this. And I've done lectures pretty much all over the place. That we can slowly educate ourselves now to deal with this new experience. And I believe, because I've lectured to a lot of people, I don't think it's a negative. I think it's basically it's who we are. It's what we are. It's what we are, whether you acknowledge it or not, and it's what you are before you were even born. So it's not like experimenting and going to something new. It's really like returning to our original home base. That's what it is. That out of body experience is not new. It's something we've been doing before we were born, while we were alive, and after we were gone. So if we're gonna do that without trying to or putting our hands on the steering wheel, so to speak, then and it's going to happen anyway. That's the thing, is it's very natural, obviously. And what is it, and how do we interact? Because I believe that consciousness that we have in that place versus the consciousness that we have right now, that you and I talking, are very, very different. And we aren't privy to some of the things we've forgotten during the birth and life process. We've forgotten a lot of things. And that's why years ago when I wrote in my book that when I had that experience where I was lifting out of body and there was some shadowy thing next to me and all that, and I suddenly realized that, oh my God, I've done this before. I remember this. But I didn't remember it from being Albert. I remembered it prior to that. So when I came back into my body and opened my eyes, I was different. My tears ran out of my eyes into my pillow, and I realized, oh my God, we really are spirits of some sort. It wasn't about the Catholic upbringing I'd had and all that. I actually remembered having that, being in that state of consciousness.
Hmm.
It's almost like you heard of Kundalini experience.
Yes.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, because Kundalini is like that. Kundalini is where you remember things that have happened outside of your average, everyday ego personality life. And that's when you go into the out-of-body experience. It doesn't always happen, but you can achieve that kind of consciousness where everything you thought you knew, that the five senses were teaching you over the years, is only a fragment or a small percentage of what existence is really all about. And that's what I discovered it. Oh, and it's not even about me. I'm a member of the International Association of Near-Death Studies. a lot of people, Daniel Brinkley, a bunch of people who are Betty Eady, they're all members of this. And their descriptions are, I think, the best example of a visit to the other side, where some of them weren't believers, like Daniel Brinkley wasn't a believer. Betty Eady, she was religious. So when she had the experience, all of a sudden she realized, oh my God, we've been here before. This is where we come from. This is where we exist. Except I just don't understand the full makeup of everything. I don't understand what the rules and the ins and out of what this experience is. But when they come back to their physical body, having had that small glimpse of the afterlife changes them forever on a profound level. Not like any dream you would ever have, because dreams can help us a little bit, but this is so profound it changes their life, where they actually even change career fields and pursue this, passionately for the rest of their lives. I can't think of too many things that will affect you or I in that kind of way, except for this type of experience.
For the average person, this would be one of those things that, having experiences like that, however they come on, whether it's, just going to sleep one night and having a profound experience you can't put your finger on, or whatever, you didn't try to invoke it or anything, it just happened. For the average person, these types of experiences, yeah, I can see that that's incredibly life-changing and also perspective altering. It can give you a lot, it can give a person who doesn't have any purpose perhaps a new type of purpose. But of course, when you think about all the interests in the world, there are those out there who I'm sure have this all figured out. I'm sure that when we talk about from a military industrial complex standpoint, this has been all figured out and studied in plenty of secret ways. And because like most things, like every satellite that's sent up into orbit, we always hear about how most of them have to have dual use, some kind of a civilian and a military purpose for it all. And I wonder, because I know you said that the higher you ascend, the material world means less and less. But let's say if your business in the material world is managing the material world, like a military industrial complex kind of a thing, an intelligence service, whatever it is, I would see great value in being able to use lower rungs of that astral non-material ladder, where there's still kind of bleed over with the material world to essentially send and receive information, or use that as a form of encryption. For people who just want to be able to, use the metaphysical planes as just another, highway to doing business. Is that possible to use it as a way to send and receive information without the sole purpose being ascension to higher levels and shedding our mortal coil?
In the beginning, yes, but as you become more experienced and have more experiences behind you, it pushes you in a certain direction, and that direction is more important than just visiting the Bahamas or traveling to. I mean, I was looking at this video the other day where we've allegedly framed the entire universe now, and we say the universe is spherical, just like a planet would be. And that means all the galaxies, all that. If you back off to a incredible distance, everything it's spherical. And then somebody said something that was really poignant. It said, in that mess of galaxies, there's another galaxy, and then there's these guys on this planet that think that that's what's the most important thing ever, is us on this little planet, when that is nothing compared to the consciousness of the cosmic soul, which that's the book I'm working on now. So all these little plans we have and we think it's important and all that, none of that. When it comes to a soul's consciousness, which is far beyond the solar system, our solar system, far beyond our local group, and far beyond the Milky Way galaxy, when it comes to soul consciousness, it's at that level. So what you're doing on a little speck of dust in a certain corner of the galaxy in a certain solar system is not important at all. And the more experiences you have, the broader your consciousness gets, and it becomes less and less important. And matter of fact, some people, I guess, monks and things like that, they've already stepped beyond that, where they realize that what we do here is not that important. Even Jesus said, leave, I'm misquoting it here a little bit, leave government to government. And he says, I'm talking about the spiritual realm, which is very different. The two don't mix. Government has their rules. We do have to abide by certain physical rules. You're being earthlings or earth people on this planet, and that's one thing, but that's not connected to this greater aspect of us. That's like the living on earth is like your one finger of your hand, and leaving the body and that cosmic consciousness is like the whole body. So your one finger, that's all you know, that's not as important as your hand, your arm, your brain, everything. That's far, far bigger than just that little aspect of us.
Yeah.
Being human, a human consciousness is a very, very, very small part of who we are.
Well, I can see that. I can see that being something that slowly starts changing someone who is practicing this kind of work, being able to expand your consciousness and explore that other side of ourself. If it's an individual, I can see how that would change them over time, where their priorities would totally change outside of wanting to be able to remote view a nice beach on the other side of the world, or go down the street and test this thing out for whatever kind of observational standpoint or observational experiences you can have. But what I was talking more about was organizational. I was talking about organizational objectives. Like if a certain unmarked department of the CIA or the NSA or whatever has a program that is designed to make sure that on lower rungs of the astral plane, there are certain operations that are being dictated to by a department, not individuals who are just experimenting with their spirituality. That's what I wonder about. I wonder about operations that are being run to way, that's what
I know some remote viewers, and one of them was one of the best ones. Is Jack House, unfortunately passed away. When it comes to the physical world and the military and governments and all those things, there's only remote viewing is about as far as I've heard that they've actually gone and repeated the experiment many times and actually retrieve some information. But once you go beyond, there's a certain gate. Once you go beyond that, none of that, let me tell you an example in one of my books. I wanted to visit a friend of mine, and I even told her at work. We were at the space station building. And I told her, I said, because this is when I was experimenting with this. And I said, I want to come visit you. And she said, okay, I live in an apartment, but I won't tell you where I am. And I said, okay. So that one of the experiences is I thought about her when I left the body, because I was in that lower consciousness area where you could think about the physical world. And I said, I want to visit my friend Kim. And I felt I traveled out of my body. I traveled out of my room and my house the way I've normally just done. And I was flying, and I had hands on me, like, because I say you're not alone. So I was being helped, and I was kind of deposited in front of this huge apartment building on the street that I'd never been to. But the thing is once I got there, I forgot why I was even coming there. I was so overwhelmed by the spiritual experience of flying and having a guide with me and all that what I wanted to do paled in comparison. So it took me a few seconds. I had to think hard. A friend of mine calls it downloading from the physical. I had to think hard, very hard, as to what I was doing, where I was, and where I was going, and it slowly came back to me. But generally, it's so minor that it's like it's hard to get excited over a small piece of candy when you're at Disneyland and they have all the incredible rides there. It's like, oh, I want to focus on this candy. I just want this candy. No, we could go on the Matterhorn. We could do all this other stuff. It's kind of like that, to where it becomes insignificant. And the having the actual experience itself during the process of it, it really becomes insignificant. But and coming back to talk about it, I could say, oh yeah, I walked through my house and all that. But when this void opened up, everything changed. I saw my deceased relatives, and then that becomes more the dominant factor beyond anything, beyond the candy bar, the proverbial candy bar that I was just talking about. So that's kind of how it is in the beginning, because I've been doing this. This has been happening to me since I was 5 years old.
How often?
I didn't know
How often do you still do this?
About once a week. It just happens. I don't try. It just does. So I have fun with it.
So
one of the things you can do is I like the lucid dreaming aspect. You don't have to be fully conscious during this experience. There's so many experiences leading up to the out of body that it's not just out of body experiences. I mean, you have lucid dreaming. You have projection out of your body in your house in the physical world, and then you have beyond that. So it's not just out of body experiences. There's a lot to the nature of human consciousness.
I have to imagine that this would be a wonderful tool. I mean, there's a lot of talk about things like Neuralink and what AI can do to bridge the gap for someone who has been paralyzed, a paraplegic, quadriplegic, whatever it is. But I'd have to imagine that this would be a really interesting thing, method to teach somebody to free themselves from whatever kind of physical limitations they have, at least at night. Do you have any experience with that?
I've gotten letters from people who are in particular debilitated states and wanted to know how to do that. So, and I've replied. So definitely, I think it is a wonderful tool to offer to someone who is a quadriplegic or really close to that. I think it's a wonderful tool to allow them to get up and expand and go beyond themselves, kind of like the near-death experience. One of my good friends shared, her name is Kimberly Clark. She's the author of After the Light. She was a nurse in Seattle, and she, during an operation or a surgery, this one woman died on the table, and they revived her and brought her back, and she started talking about how she was floating above her body in the operating room, watching them, and they were talking about bringing her back and to where she's crashing and all that. And then she said, and then I drifted out the window or out the wall, and I found myself outside the hospital, and she said there was a tennis shoe on the ledge outside the hospital. Now, and then, so after the experience ended, when they, because they revived her and brought her back, my friend went to that particular ledge, looked out the window, and to the left or right of where the window was, there was actually a tennis shoe there. So the thing is now this lady who died on the table, never before had she ever thought about something spiritual like that. Most Catholics don't. I'm one of them. I was one of them. I'm a recovering Catholic now. But most Catholics don't. And she never thought about the spirit and people think of the soul as something you keep in your pocket or you have it somewhere inside your body. But very few people think about being the soul. And that particular experience that she had, not only was it backed up by a physical shoe, because my friend retrieved the shoe, and I even saw that shoe, which is amazing. I assume that's what it was. Maybe she dug out an old tennis shoe and showed it to me. I don't know, but I haven't actually saw it. But for that woman who had that experience, her life will never be the same. This is something no one ever told her about. She never experienced it. It's not in her her biblical doctrine. It's not in her Bible or anything. It's not in Catholic school. But now her life is forever changed by this experience, and she's not thinking about going to, because she died and came back. She's not thinking about visiting the Bahamas or something like that. She's wondering what's broader than that. Kind of like what Jesus said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. Well, it's kind of like that. You can be in one room, and all of us have been for all of our lives. But once we open the door and realize, oh my God, there's a whole world out there, a whole universe, or a whole existence out there beyond the physical, that changes everything. And then from that point on, you develop a thirst where everything you do is to satisfy that thirst of discovering more, traveling further, understanding your consciousness more, and then what the wonderful part about it that I really love is that it's not only an experience, it changes you in the physical, where your relationships with other people change also, where you become more loving and they become more understanding, and it changes your physical experience and your spiritual experience. And that's what it's supposed to do. And the more you travel, that's what happens. You can think about Disneyland or Disney World or Gatorland or something like that. But as it progresses, you're going to realize, oh my God, it's about the love I have for my wife, my friends, how I interact with them. Because when it's all over, and people have, they've talked about having a panoramic near-death experience where you review your life. When it's all over, they're not going to talk about when you were in Egypt. It's not going to cover when you visited the temple, the Taj Mahal, or any of that. It's going to talk about your interaction and how you dealt with, how you interacted and cared for people, or how you didn't care for people. That's what's going to be the most important thing, and that's what the paranormal out-of-body experiences are all about. No matter what you necessarily intend, and I mean, I understand the fun of it, because I in the beginning I didn't know what I was doing. I was flying around visiting friends and doing all that wonderful stuff, but I kept noticing I wasn't alone. And as it goes on, that awareness grows. And then if you leave this physical plane and you go see something you never even imagined existed, because I was never told about this stuff, but you see it and you go, oh my God. When you come back, that's all you want to do. You want to go back, because that's home, Frank. I mean, once you realize, I've never been home. I thought of Earth as my home. I thought of this physical body as my home. But once you realize, oh my God, this isn't my home. I'm visiting here. You want to go home.
Well,
not to necessarily die.
Let me jump on that for a second. Let me jump on that, because you there's a lot to be said about the fight for Earth, where I've heard those near-death experiences too, the positive ones at least, because there's a lot of negative, experience. But at least with the positive ones, I've heard a lot of that. Your fear of death goes away, and you're excited to go back whenever the time is right and the time for you to go. But on the other hand, there seems to be a real coveting of our position over here in the material world, that there are a lot of things from the other side that are desperate to possess a vessel that allows them to experience where we are right now. Even though our home for eternity is not this world, there are things on the other side that want to be able to be here. You're talking about the stories from the Bible, and especially Jesus driving out the demons, the legion of demons from one person, and the demons begging, please just send us into the pigs, just let us stay, give us just some flesh, something. So there are things like that I wonder about, and I'm bringing it up right now because I want to kind of bring it into the robotics aspect too, and ask you about the soul, the concept that has evolved over the last 70 or 80 years. But that phrase, the ghost in the machine, whether or not, the ghost in the machine, are we just one big functioning unit, or is the spirit really the driver for this earth-based bodysuit that is our body? And when you remove or kind of dampen down that spiritual anchor for what is possessing the body or anything else, we always wonder, well, what are we opening ourselves up for if we are not spiritually strong, and if we are not, careful about what we're interacting with? Can we open ourselves up for possession? And that has definitely happened in very provable ways over the years. My question for you is, when we start getting into artificially intelligent bodies, like I just saw this proto-clone. Did you see this? It's called proto-clone. It's the world's first bipedal musculoskeletal android. It looks like it's sick looking, and they're these robots are getting more and more human looking and more capable. But the real question we always say is, okay, great. So you built a very, very smart calculator, and you built a robot that can walk on its own 2 feet and it can change a tire, but it's never going to be human because it lacks that spiritual spark. Do you see any way where these empty vessel robots could ever inhabit a spirit or anything that would possess it to take on a material world sock puppet kind of relationship there?
I doubt it, because first of all, I don't care what medical facility you go to. If you lay down on a table and you had a bunch of doctors come into the room, and I instructed them, I want you to find the spirit in this body. None of them would be able to do that, because it's not about the physical. It's not the brain. And the spirit can operate in the body and out of the body, and the body still functions. So we haven't gotten to the point where we can even identify where it is. Just like, one of the reasons we call dark matter and dark energy and dark matter is because we can't identify it. We know it's affecting something, like the spirit is moving the body, but we don't know how that dark matter and dark energy works. And it's the same with the consciousness, the human consciousness. We know he's able to talk when he's awake and eat and things like that. But once he goes to sleep and leaves the body, we have no idea. And I say we, I mean scientists and doctors. We have no idea what that is or where it is or what it looks like or anything. So I don't think we've gotten to that point where we could do that. Kind of like, all of a sudden we can put our consciousness inside Data from Star Trek or something like that. We haven't gotten to that point where we can do it. And I don't really think we are ever going to get to that point where, I think I remember a Star Trek episode where they placed the consciousness of Kirk or somebody inside of an android. We aren't going to be able to do that because we can't even identify it as right now. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to really understand what dark energy is. I don't, because it's a force of some sort keeping things in a certain particular area as it orbits the galaxy. We don't understand how that works. So we may never be able to. And that's such a monumental task, to be able to put a human consciousness inside of a created physical device, because it's not necessarily humanoid. It could be whatever type of robot. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. But now when we talk about possession, I'm not clear. I know what it exhibits, the behavior it exhibits. I understand what it says. People, when they're possessed, I understand that. But we really don't know, and especially in paranormal research, we really don't know if that's coming from within behavioral abnormality of the person. We don't know for sure. And when it comes to talking about using the word demons, we have to be very careful, because that's a religious term, and it comes from, Catholicism and Christianity. There's a lot of other things going out there scientifically that we don't use that word.
Well,
like when you
demons
asked me earlier about ghosts, I don't use the word ghost. I use the word anomaly. I try to anyway.
Demon.
Because,
Well, Albert, demons is not a those types of spiritual entities are not exclusively a Christian thing, and it does get into a little bit more supernatural territory when you hear about the otherworldly feats that some people who are possessed have been able to. I mean, I've talked to people who have witnessed the levitation effects, people
Right.
levitating. I mean, things like that. It's great. You know,
and that's what I was saying. I know what I've seen what has happened, but I just don't have something connecting me to a certain identity. There isn't. I mean, I would love to discover that, but so far we can't draw the line directly to that particular type of identity,
Okay.
be it demon or whatever.
Okay, so then
Yeah, that is responsible. We're not there.
here's what I want to do, because it's 8:15. I know that you're holding that phone up to your ear. You must be cramping up on me. I'd love to stay. I'd love to stay on for about maybe another 15 minutes, just to be able to open up the line for some calls to see if people have a couple of questions for you. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, guys, 914-369-1236. You give us a call if you have a question for Dr. Albert Taylor, or what, try to get it together, and so we can get a couple of calls in at least over the next few minutes. And while you're all calling up, I'll ask you this, Dr. Taylor, is that when you talk about, well, we don't know about certain, haunting questions about the universe, dark energy or dark matter, or, things that we just don't know about. I would imagine that being able to slip into a higher state of being, higher consciousness, away from the limitations of the material world, would be a place that you could dip into in order to get clarity on things like dark energy, or how the universe works in one mysterious way or another. Well, that's what I don't get. Why is it not possible to ascend somewhere temporarily and come back with ideas? It seems like sometimes we, the saying is, well, sleep on it. And sometimes we'll be racking our brains for ideas or for solutions, and sometimes a good night's sleep, something will come to us in a dream. So why can't we solve, or have we solved any burning questions about the universe in another realm?
And come back and reveal it to the masses?
Oh, yeah, or at least apply it in a scientific way, something.
Well, this is the thing that I've discovered in my own experiences, is that there's a plan for me that I agreed with to come here. And there's certain experiences that I've agreed with. I don't think that the way the things are set up is that, let's say you're on the other side of the planet and you discover something spiritually, or you leave your body and you travel out to the cosmos and you discover something that this is an incredible secret that changes spiritual awareness and all that, and you come back and you interrupt my path that I've agreed on, to my learning path to evolve, and you come in and interrupt that with this information. Like, for instance, if I went out tonight and I came back and I said, Frank, you're going to die tomorrow, that's not going to happen, because that information, it's like we're a team spiritually. I'm not going to come in and interrupt your evolutionary path, and you're not going to have the power to come and retrieve something and come back and interrupt my evolutionary path. If there's some information out there, and that's why it's so difficult to share this. I can't say what you're going to find out there. I'm not going to say you're going to find your day of that you're going to die. I can't say that, because that wouldn't be ever given to me, to be able to come in and interrupt your process that you're going through. I didn't even know that. I thought, we're just living life on Earth, and we were born and we die at 60 to 80 to 90 or whatever. I didn't think about, why am I actually here? Why did I actually manifest in this physical body? What these experiences that I'm having, their effect on my soul, because I didn't even know I had a soul. I didn't think about any of that. But once you start realizing that exists, and that's really more important than anything, then you got to think about, well, what can influence that? What could change that in a negative way or whatever? And the way it's set up, it's divine. You're not going to be able to change it. You may be able to, like I've been able to teach people about awareness and things like that, but never have I ever come close to having an experience that gave me this profound awareness of somebody else's experience, and now I can go and change their lives forever. That's never happened. And no one's ever been able to do it to me. My wife and I like to say we're just not that powerful. We're not that knowledgeable because we aren't. I pray that we never get that kind of power because I don't know if we're at that point where we're knowledgeable enough to know what the repercussions of it would be.
Yeah.
So that's not going to, it hasn't happened, and I really doubt it because of the bigger picture.
Okay. You know what, Albert, I think the calls we're going to have to save for another night because I'm getting now I'm funneling all this through Skype and
I understand.
I'm getting blocked messages for some reason. It's ridiculous. So it's the last technological hurdle I have with this show is being able to link the audience with the guests. But last question I have for you for this evening, because there's so much more, and we'll cover it a couple months down the line, maybe sometime closer to the summer. I like talking to you every 4 to 5 months. That's it's a lot of fun, and there's still so much more I have to ask.
Likewise.
But
Likewise.
you know, there's been a lot of rumors about an Art Bell movie being put together.
Yeah, no, I've seen some of the trailers, or they're talking about it, right?
Yeah, it's rumors.
Right.
My question for you, because it still amazes me, Albert, how, I listen to quite a few channels that do nothing but run old Art Bell episodes. If it's late at night, and I just want to have something on in the background. It's been a comfort to me the last couple of years because that's really when I started listening. And I can't tell you how many episodes you pop up on that I never heard before. You spent so much time on the air with him, and so I'm just wondering if this movie does go through, is there anything that you hope is portrayed about art or anything in there, just based on how much personal time you've spent with him over the years?
Well, I think there's the radio personality art, and then there's the behind the scenes art. And the behind the scenes art is very. I mean, he was a vehicle for so many different perspectives and things like that. That's what I loved about him. It didn't matter how out there your story was or experience, he would be just there, helping you to share it. And that was the great part of him. But the part behind the scenes is he was on his own spiritual journey too, and things were happening to him that were paranormal, and he didn't understand how it was. He called me from Italy. I think I told you one time. He called me from Italy because he was having an out-of-body experiences in Italy, and he actually changed on his non-air personality, where he realized oh my God, I am a spirit. And it wasn't about what I had shared with him. It wasn't about all the shows we've done. It's because he had his own personal experience, which changed him dramatically. And I believe personally, because I knew Ramona too, his wife, that passed away. I believe that it helped him deal with that experience also, is that he realized that there was something more going on than just the physical, and she was not gone. She had transitioned to a different existence. So there was a part of him that I hope they share with that, not just the on-air personality, but the person who actually evolved because of his radio show on a spiritual level. I hope they share that.
Oh yeah, well that me too. That's wonderful to hear, and I over the years, for however long we continue to talk, I love to get some little bonus stories from all the time that you spent on Coast to Coast during the 90s and stuff like that, because that was just a magical time in talk radio. And like I said, I keep finding new episodes of where you appeared that I never heard before. So I'm just astonished at how much time you spent talking to millions. I did a
lot of shows with him. I think 30 shows or something like that over the years.
Wow.
I don't know. It was quite a bit. I remember Whitley Strieber and I were in competition, and he had been on there a lot, and I think I passed by him at the 25 show mark, and made it to about 30 shows, something like that. Then I did other coast to coast at his affiliate with George Norrie and a few other people. So quite a bit. I was blessed because how much time do we have? Because I know we're running out.
No, I mean, hey, it's really up to you. Okay.
I was blessed. I got to share this, and Art kept stopping me from sharing the story, and I kept trying to talk to him about this, but he just was so humble, and he wouldn't. When I was, before I met Art Bell or was contacted by him, I was, I'm not going to talk about how I got there, but I was literally 1 week from being homeless and out on the street. Literally, I had a pile of books in my trunk of my car that I self-printed because I started a publishing company, and I printed the first versions of Soul Traveler. I used my last dime to get these, 1,000 books or whatever I had. I can't remember. And literally, I was going to be homeless. And I sat down and I said in a prayer, and I said, because I talked to my guide all the time, I said, I really thought you wanted me to do this. And if you want me to do this, I need some help because I'm in trouble here. The next morning, I got up and I checked my email, and there was an email in there from Art Bell. I didn't even know how he heard of me, or I'd never spoken to him in any way, shape, or form. And I opened it up, and it said, people have been calling his show talking about out-of-body experiences, and somebody sent him a email that mentioned me, and he'd like me to do his show about, a half hour to an hour that night. And I said, great. I was shocked. And I turned off my computer and I looked around and I thought, wow, you guys work fast. Whoever was helping me, you work fast. That night, to make a long story short, is I ended up doing 5 hours of his show. And I was taking calls from all over the world. And I didn't even know there were that many people out there having the same type of experiences I was, because I'd only spoken with people in my family. And from that point on, it increased I sold out of books, with Art Bell. They were going to Greece and Germany and things like that. And literally overnight, it almost went to #1 bestseller. It didn't at that time. And I said, so here it is a couple of weeks later, my books are selling. I'm okay. I'm not homeless. And I was really grateful. And I said, God, I don't really want to ask for too many favors, but it sure would be nice to have my show that I did with Art Bell play again. And it was about, I think it was about quarter till his show would come on. And then I turned on the radio and was going to listen to Art Bell, and there it was, his introduction. I'm having Albert Taylor on, and it literally 15 minutes after I asked for that, my show repeated on that night. And the next few days, my agent called me and she said, have you looked at the LA Times? And I said, no. And she said, you better go take a look. And I pulled out the LA Times, and there I was at #1 bestseller. And Art did that for me, and he doesn't understand what that meant, or wouldn't let me share that with him, to let him know how he changed my life, and called me, emailed me out of nowhere, and how my life would have been a catastrophe if that email hadn't reached me.
And again, in the 90s, I'm going through middle school at that time. So looking back now and really just being able to analyze the state of media, because here I am in the middle of a new media kind of renaissance, and I really became aware of the world in coming up through college, 2000, the early 2000s, and so. And knowing what radio, the advent of satellite radio, the internet coming into play, the television falling out of favor, starting to realize how propagandized things are and controlled all of these conversations on traditional media and print really are. And then, of course, going back in time to listen to what I was missing out on in the background of my childhood. And you spent so much time on the air during what I would have to say is one of the golden eras of talk radio, and I mean you were being heard by millions. I mean there's no there's no doubt in my mind that you went to number one at the LA Times reading list. No doubt in my mind. With the millions. So it's,
I did one show and there was 25 million people listeners. That one show I did. That was amazing. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that's why I realized, I really believe that I was pushed along to do this. I mean, think about a kid from Los Angeles having these weird experiences that his grandmother from New Orleans was superstitious about. The whole story is crazy if you think about it. And for that to happen, I really feel like it was meant to be, and I was assisted the entire way to make this manifest. I really believe that.
Well, it's
to have this manifest.
It's great. It's great to have you tell that story here, and we'll do more of that in the future, Albert. Thank you. I'm so sorry to your shoulder and your elbow, but thank you for the time tonight. Is there now? I don't know.
No problem,
every time I check, you're saying that there's going to be a website that is rebuilt, or what? Is there any place that you want to direct people's attention? I know that your book is on Amazon, but do you have a website yet?
AlbertTaylor.com, but it's neglected. It needs to be upgraded. But what I really am going to focus on is I'm going to post a lot of interesting shows on my my YouTube channel, which is the paranormalspin.com. People can write me or leave messages there. Also, please, you can write me anytime. My email address is in the back of my book, or you can just email me from my website, alberttaylor.com, and I will respond to whoever writes me as soon as I can.
I have it right up on the screen, the Paranormal Spin on YouTube, and so I can't wait to see you, because I can't wait to see
the next show is going to be great, Frank. I think you're going to love it.
Wonderful.
I'm done with it. I'm in editing right now, post-editing now, and I'm hoping to get it posted within a week, and I think you're going to love it.
Great.
I really do. I think everybody's going to enjoy it.
I can't wait to see the notifications pop up for new Paranormal Spin uploads. So I'll be on the lookout for it, Albert, and keep me in the loop, please.
I definitely will. I'm really excited about it.
All right, me too. Thank you so much, Albert Taylor. We'll talk soon.
Okay, you take care, Frank.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
There you go. All right. Okay, let's take a really quick intermission. Well, it's not an intermission, just a really quick break. And we come back, and I'm going to go into the super chats and take your calls, and we'll just hang out for the last 20-something minutes. There you go. Friday. And it's not over. We're going to be hanging out this time tomorrow night as well. Don't go nowhere.
He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for meeting me on such short notice. Really appreciate it. Jerry's been on my back all day. Come on, monkey around. Come on, dude, I'm literally a monkey. Say, Jerry, you're sneaking like that, I'm telling you. These got cameras all over these woods. Jerry, no, I probably shouldn't have taken all that pre-workout today. No, I don't even work out. Is that all you got? You holding out on me? Jerry, you never tell me.
Is talking on the phone getting out of hand? Look out! You need phone relief. The ultimate in hands-free phone design. Watch. Simply attach the special double back fastener to any phone. Then attach the phone relief headset. It's that easy. Hands-free, pain-free. You'll wonder how you ever lived without it. It's perfect for remotes. Now talk hands-free anywhere, anytime. Office work is a pain for Mr. Phone in the Neck, but you won't miss a beat with hands-free freedom. A must for the entire office. Work goes quicker and easier. The padded headset removes this easily and is fully adjustable. Best of all, phone relief works with your favorite phone. An amazing breakthrough product you'll use every day. Now only $12.95. Call toll-free to order by credit card and make this your last Phone in the Neck call.
Welcome to Perpetual Health Minute, brought to you by Quite Frankly, Diabetes and Death. This 2011 New England Journal of Medicine paper took a look at diabetes and how it relates to all-cause mortality. They found that fasting glucose levels that exceed 100 milligrams per deciliter, but not 70 milligrams per deciliter, were associated with death. For example, a 50-year-old with diabetes died on average 6 years earlier than a counterpart without diabetes. So when we talk about a nutrition strategy that prioritizes blood sugar control, it's not just about losing weight or even being in better metabolic health today. It quite literally could be the difference between life and death. If you like this video, please follow the new Perpetual Health Rumble channel. You can also find us at perpetualhealth.substack.com. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Back to the show.
I can't believe it. It's my first blind date.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Really? Woo! You guys meet? Greg, Janice?
We sure did.
That was stupid.
Great.
This is Smart, a beeper service for just $1.99 a month. From who else? Smart Beep. Call 1-800-BEEP-199 for other smart stuff, like directions.
We've got chemistry here. You feel it?
I felt it.
All right, Janice.
He's been down in the basement since it happened. 5 days now. I think he's having some kind of a mental situation. You know, an episode or something.
All right.
Hey, you better do something. I don't want to be known as the brother-in-law of the town nutjob. I got enough problems already. Oh, shit. I got water all over myself.
Yes. Okay. You know, I was on the drums before I started the show tonight. And I got to do a stream. I got to do one big stream test and just start doing either some I don't want to do pre-show drums. Maybe some after-show drums. I can't stand getting sweaty and starting a show. But maybe after the show. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Friday night is about to wrap up. Okay, let's see. Jay Britt says, always a fascinating discussion with Dr. Albert Taylor. Glad to hear he's on the mend. Thanks, Frank. I love having him on. He's an interesting guest. I just like listening to people talk about things that I have no experience with, but really intrigue me and are bigger than us. And ask big, big questions. And inspire big conversations. I really wish we were able to get some calls in, but, you know, and then also there's just the history. I'm so happy I've been able to make friends with people like with Dr. Albert Taylor, because these are and the late great Sean David Morton. I've been told that Sean David Morton's wife wants to continue his work in some way, and obviously just giving her some time to make things to just settle in with life without him after all the suffering he went through and stuff. But these were voices that you heard all over the country. Millions of people heard all over the country during the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff like that. And it was exciting and it was interesting. And the fact that I've been able to, in 30, 40 years down the line, make friends with some of them. And that's and to mutually respect each other is really great, because it opens you up also just to sit back and listen to Albert's retelling of some of those years and those experiences. That's awesome. Those are valuable stories, and that's an exclusive for us. And I put a lot of subjective value. I value that in a big way. So let's see here. Over on Rumble, people hanging out. Rumble rants are all taken care of. Okay, let's see here. Safety Net 820 says, congratulations, Cash Patel, he's in. He swore himself in. Oh man, I hope that Adam Schiff is arrested. I hope he's arrested. I hope he's arrested in his underwear. Happy weekend, Frankly family. Thank you. Sea Blanche, thank you. Witchy Poo. Cave Toad says it's Friday. Cajun Lady, hello. Witchy Poo, thank you. Thank you. Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just claimed a 1-month bronze tier subscription gifted by Witchy Poo. I'm telling you, if you want to taste test Quite Frankly VIP sponsorship exclusive content like book clubs, film clubs, Sunday streams, all that stuff, the best way that you can do that is hanging out on quitefrankly.tv and in the pilled.net chat room more often, because people are always gifting each other subscriptions, 1-month subscriptions, 3-month subscriptions. Even if you snag one of those 1-month bronze tier subscriptions, that's still 4 weeks worth of Sunday streams and everything else, and you feel and you know what you're getting when you sponsor the show. Let's see here. Cave Toad says, get Rob on. Talk about remote viewing. It's not good, Frank. They're all dancing with demons. Same with the New Age. Rob would not tell you that. I'm telling you, right? Rob would not tell you that straight out. He would not say it's all beneficial. He would not say that you can just jump into it without any kind of knowledge or practice or guidance and have it go well. But Rob would not tell you that, Kay. I think that you have an image of Rob in your head that's telling you something that's really just you telling yourself in Rob's voice. But I would love to get Rob on. That's on the... Yes, I agree with you on that. Witchy Poo, thank you so much. Sean Joe, thank you again. Witchy Poo again, thank you so much. Sentinel says, we enjoy Dr. Taylor. Good show, Frank. Thank you so. Thank you. I'm happy you like it. Cave Toad sent an EMP and said, consciousness as existence is false teaching and takes you away from God. How? Frank, be careful with guests like these. No. What am I supposed to be careful? If Dr. Albert Taylor is wrong about things, how many things is he wrong about? And do you feel he is a dangerous man? I don't. I like talking to him. I think he's a good person. Our beliefs don't align on all things. Our assumptions don't align, but then again, his beliefs are based on experiences I never had. So it's interesting to me, but I don't feel like I need to, throw the holy water and, just chill. It's all right. Nobody had to, make a blood oath to have a conversation. It's just a talk. But I'm happy. It's invoking some passionate response. I'm sure I'll be getting those. I'll be getting warnings from a whole bunch of people in the comments, and I will take them in stride. But it's all right. It's going to be okay. You're okay. If only Dr. Albert Taylor were the biggest threat that the country faced. If only. Oh, man, I would take that any day of the week. Any day of the year. Did you hear about this call? I don't want to do it right now. It's 18 minutes in. 18 minutes until the end. But LA Mayor Karen Bass preemptively defended the Ghana trip despite local catastrophe. This is from James O'Keefe. I'm missing 2 work days, that's it. And dropped a cryptic warning days before the LA fire started. She says, read in between the lines, hold tight, you will understand soon. This is before the fire started. I was listening to this before we started the show. It was a private phone call with an anonymous source. She sought to downplay her trip to Ghana as a brief visit as criticisms mounted. She says, quote, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it. And if President Biden extends me an invitation, I took it. Prioritizing international commitments and immediate local concerns. Just 3 days before fires erupted in Los Angeles, Bass issued a cryptic message to our source, that is the OMG source, advising them to read in between the lines and hold tight. You will soon understand, suggesting that she was aware of a significant development that would soon impact the city. Bass also acknowledged the growing dangers surrounding MacArthur Park. Quote, the situation is very dangerous, she said, citing security concerns. She remained adamant in her refusal to hold a press conference, stating, quote, I will take the criticism before I do a publicity stunt. And frankly, a press conference at this point in time would be a publicity stunt. Karen Bass further explained her position, stating, quote, if I have a choice between that and compromising something, I just have to go along with it. It's not my area of expertise, emphasizing her lack of qualifications to make informed decisions regarding the area. When the source emphasized the safety concerns of residents and property owners of MacArthur Park, noting that, quote, 41,000 people live within a square mile here, end quote, Bass maintained her stance, saying, quote, but they want to hear that something is going to be done, end quote, making it clear that no action is currently being taken to address security risks. Oh, you think about all the mayors of big cities out there that are really just puppets, who are talentless, drama club, diversity picks, who have no sense of anything. You can listen to it on your own. James O'Keefe tweeted it out there. I retweeted it, so it's on my Twitter. It's toward the top of it, so you can hear it. I don't want to listen to it because she's whispering. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know why she's fucking whispering. Here, listen to this. I want to be mad for some reason.
Oh, yes. But hold tight. You will understand soon. Mm-hmm.
Property owners?
Yeah.
And the residents. I mean, 41,000 people live within a square mile here.
Yeah.
Two families share a one-bedroom apartment.
But they want to hear that something is going to be done.
They want to know it's recognized. But they want to know it's recognized.
Exactly. But if I have a choice between that and compromising something, I just have to go along with it.
Why are you whispering? Why are you whispering? Just put her in jail for the whispering alone. You're under arrest for fucking whispering. So that's here. Listen how it ends, though. Just so you know. Here.
No problem. And just in terms of my trip,
to Ghana.
Just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it. And if President Biden extends me an invitation, I took it.
Yeah, and the read between the lines thing, here it is right here. I want to make sure that you are safe.
Make sure that you are safe. And hopefully you can read in between the lines. But I would just appreciate and it's hard for me to tell you this, but hold tight. You will understand soon.
What? Anyway, there's just sometimes a button is pushed. You know? The whispering. It just makes me feel like I lose control. Anyway, all right, let's take a call. It's 847 914-200-0269. Oh, that's not the right one. Here you go. 914-200-0269. Give me a buzz. We're going to be ending here in about 10 minutes, but it's all right because we have great stuff going on after show tonight. I will also be going live on Twitch to have some fun, and I don't know, even if I just play a baseball game at some point tonight. So keep your Twitch notifications on because we can chat that way as well at some point. But here's what John Carroll has lined up for tonight on Quite Frankly.tv right now. Well, in about 10 minutes. 10-second songs. Seal, Kiss from a Rose, in the style of Metallica. We're going to be sitting here with Anthony tomorrow night, so we can talk to him about that, as well as other things. Mark Dice, Glenn Beck interviews Sean Spicer. I sent that 12-minute clip over to John, put in there. It's an incredible clip. Glenn Beck interviews Sean Spicer. The story that Sean Spicer tells in that 12-minute clip, you got to watch. Elon Musk delivers Doge update at CPAC. Jason Burmis with Joe Hoff. The first 30 days of Trump 2.0. That'll be interesting too, especially on the heels of the Elon Musk talk. And also remember, we put this stuff together because a lot of it is culmination of big media moments of the day. Talk about it. Not all of this stuff presents as positive. Whatever. Talk about when you're watching it on Quite Frankly TV. Talk about it in the chat room and all that stuff. It's not that this is just the best compilations at the time, and it's fun. And then, of course, we have things like Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, the full 1938 radio broadcast, which we usually put live on October 30th, which is the anniversary, and we'll do it again, but that'll be fun. And then Art Bell with Dr. Albert Taylor, Robotics and Paranormal Investigations. So, that'll be nice tonight. Okay, let's take a little bit of a call. 828, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, it's Rob Worth.
Hey, Rob, how are you? Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, how you been?
All right, not bad, not bad. So what's on your mind?
I just, my daughter Leia, I just want to thank you for having your guest on tonight. She's the one that passed away a couple years ago, and I've been watching a lot of near-death experience NDEs on YouTube, and I like that guy's perspective about the soul, and I hope that he's right. Like our soul, we're more than just our soul. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, more than just our body, you mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, well, that's one thing that is, I think, very unless you're just steeped in nihilism and atheism and everything else. I think that's something that's pretty universally held, that there is something far. We're plugged into something far bigger than ourselves, and the true identity that we have is that eternal spark that is behind that is at the helm here of these suits that we got here. And but yeah, it is interesting, and I like listening to it for sure.
No, I appreciate him and what he was saying. I've had a few readings with mediums with Alea, and they've actually been pretty accurate. Like, I wouldn't feed them any information about her life or anything about her. And Suzanne Giesman, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of her. She's a pretty big medium that does readings. She's done a couple for us, and it's just, I don't know. I'm a logical guy, so unfortunately, I think that's all kind of craziness. But I think there's something more than just our bodies, and I appreciate your guest tonight, and I appreciate you doing what you do too.
Well, I always am very happy to hear from you, Rob, and obviously I'm always keeping you and your family in my thoughts, because you've been watching the show for a long time, and these are the stories, and these are the people that it's very hard for me to, every once in a while, I almost feel like I go through a review of my time on air and the people that you meet along the way. So I'm always keeping you guys in my prayers, and for peace, and thanks for calling in and being part of these shows.
Can I ask one favor?
Sure.
I love what you do. I'm curious about like your layout, because I used to work at Radio Shack like for 15 years back in the 80s and 90s. And I'm kind of a geeky head, so if you ever have some time, maybe take some video of your equipment and kind of show us how you do things. I think that would be kind of cool.
You got it. Are you a monthly sponsor at all?
I'm not.
Okay.
I just listen all the time.
Okay, because I was just wondering, because I was thinking maybe that's what I can do for a a Sunday stream one day. I would just come here, a special Sunday stream from the studio, because I've done plenty of tests from the studios whenever something has gone wrong. But I was thinking maybe, all right, well, I'll figure something out. That wouldn't be too hard. But yeah. It is like my little. It's like the organ for the Phantom of the Opera back here.
Yeah.
I've got a lot. I've got a lot going on, and I'm trying to add more functional pieces to it, like the separate device that I can actually link in through Bluetooth, the Skype calls that would be able to link you to whatever guest I have on for the night. So I want to add a new piece to the puzzle over here, and it's an integral one. But yeah, I think people would find what I got going on over here pretty interesting, and maybe we'll do that soon.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be great. And I want to say I love when you have your daughter on. She is so adorable. I'd like to see your wife. I'm not being creepy or anything, but I mean, I don't think I've seen her. It's like usually your daughter comes in the door and she's just so cute.
Oh, well,
she's so adorable.
Well, go back. Just go back to the Valentine's Day episode. I had my mom, my wife, and my daughter here.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah, just go back to last Friday, and they're all hanging out with me.
Okay, cool.
All right, Rob.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Take care. Be well. Yeah. Mediums. I don't know. I haven't. I've interviewed plenty over the years. We've had psychic witches on the show. We've interviewed a lot of people because it does. Again, there's no barrier to entry to have a conversation with somebody that lives a life that's different than you. That's all. And I also have had quite a few experiences losing people and being around people. You talk about especially parents in grief. My late great friend Pam, who just died, and I'm the executor to her estate. Still going through all that. But hanging out with her in all the years after her daughter dying, a heroin overdose. One of my first friends ever, Maria. That was rough, and definitely rough on her. And I know you want to do anything to bridge the gap and get some kind of okay. Is everybody okay? Just wait for me. Whatever the hell it is, I understand. So I try. I don't know. It's such a living as a human is crazy as it is. And navigating love and grief, boy, is grief messy. And we all go through it. So I understand what shows like this, what episodes like this really are all about, because we can get into the little bit more, I'm going to go investigate this haunted house. But then when it really gets into the nature of the soul, you tend to apply that to other parts in your life. And it eventually begs the question of what that means about our time here and those who have moved on. If Dr. Taylor has met up with his ancestors and he can leave the body, and he has some time outside of his body at least once a week. I mean, wouldn't you go hang out with everybody, see everybody, but you wouldn't take any information back? Or you just wouldn't care? The drama of back home just wouldn't matter? I guess you're just being in their presence. I don't know. I think about it. I'm telling you, there's tons of questions. Tons of them. Tons of them. And I want you guys to be able to ask those questions as well. So that's why we're getting there. We are getting there. I promise you that. Okay, let's see. Over on quitefrankly.tv, Justin Polgar from Yes Cacao says, today is your 13 moon Mayan galactic calendar birthday. Your sign is a red galactic moon. You are a stellar being. Yes. Is that so, Justin? Wait, today's my 13 moon Mayan galactic calendar. What does that mean? So that correlates with April 2nd or what? That's Justin from Yes Cacao. I wish I can get a little bit more on that. Text me later. Tell me what the hell you're talking about. So there you have it. There's something else that's happened today. It's my birthday. I didn't even know it. My headache has gone away. All right, ladies and gents. That's what we have. That's what we have for you tonight. We have about a handful of people calling in. We've got Joanne and Gary and Keith and a couple other wireless callers. And but it's 9:00. So listen, save it for next week, or we'll take one more call real quick. Gary, you got 45 seconds. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank. And the only reason why I said it would be cool to have Rob on, because he did do warnings of out-of-body experiences.
He did warnings of untrained people using binaural beats.
Correct.
To jump into it. Yeah.
So it's worthy. And on top of that, consciousness. Now you're getting back into religion and refinding your faith. Be careful, because people that preach, oh, you just find your consciousness and you be good. Make sure to always bring it back to God's word and what Jesus said in the Bible. It is the bread, the word, that will bring you to true wholesomeness, which isn't the right word, but I have 45 seconds. So make sure to consider what these people are saying. You don't need to pray. You don't need to find consciousness and all this stuff. It's already all there. The bread, the word, the food is there. Don't get confused, because it's the same confusion that confused Eve when the serpent convinced her to bite of the fruit. And I guess that's really what I had to say.
Okay. All right. Point taken. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that.
Love the show. And Frank, I'd love to talk another time, but
absolutely.
My time is probably up.
Well, the lines will be, as you know, the lines are almost always open. So I would love to talk again.
Well, you see me talking with Sarah and other stuff on your channel, different debates. It gets deep, but you know what? It's cool to watch you kind of refine that and share it with Aurora and the family, and just your discovery and talking with him and stuff like that when you have him as a guest. And it's really fun to watch, and make sure you appreciate that, and keep it up. It's wonderful. And God bless you, my friend.
Well, thank you for supporting it, because people like you've been insanely generous and with your support over the years, and it's really the only reason why we can continue bringing this to new levels. And I'm hoping that that we can only take more steps in the future. So thanks again for everything, man, and you're a remarkable audience member.
Yeah, keep fighting the good fight, Frank. You're much appreciated.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
There you go. There is Cave Toad. We could have kept going with that. What is consciousness versus how you cut that one up. I don't see consciousness as a religion. I mean, there's conscious and then there's unconscious. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And I think that there are parts of our consciousness that we have made taboo to even acknowledge that it's there, that it could be tapped into or in any way, shape, or form controlled. And like I said before, and like I was talking about earlier on today when I was on Nephilim Death Squad, you go into the world and you have guides in your life. You have family, you have teachers, you have friends, you have shared experiences, you have experiences that are passed down, just so that you are given some kind of hopefully some guidelines into how to go out into the world, to navigate the world, to be able to spot danger, to sniff out a scam, to find safe passageway from one point to the other point, to keep your heart guarded, your soul guarded, and your body guarded. That is what parents prepare children for. You're going out into a world where anything can happen. A lot of good things, and there's a lot of people who will take advantage of you. And there are just you need street smarts, you need the book smarts, that's it. There is no guidance for something like that. We don't get any education on that as far as the unseen world. Now, it is a incredible advantage to walk in the light of Christ, to have that kind of shield and that to latch on to that power and to follow. And that's where I think it's really all about there. Because, for example, going out into the world here, having your soul kind of, the last couple of generations have been convinced to just let go of, religion, let go of the religions of your parents and your grandparents, your great grandparents, and just come into something that's a little bit more open and whatever, and anything goes, and subjective and deconstructionist and all that stuff. And you don't need all that stuff. And that is usually the common person that you see going out to the BLM and the pussy hat marches and all that stuff. And they go out there thinking that they are elevated and somehow evolved socially by having absolutely no spiritual tether and no education in that respect and nothing holding them back. When in respect, they have just been hollowed out vessels that something is going to fill. And where do they go to show how like fucking evolved and of a do-gooder they are? They go to a Black Lives Matter rally somewhere in Los Angeles, led by Patrisse Cullors, who is an avowed, trained Marxist witch, who said the chants at the rallies, the hashtags they're using on social media, these are invocations. They are actual spells. You're conjuring spirits, and of course, all of these do-gooders show up, like the people at the top of the Capitol Records building in Independence Day, welcoming the aliens. Welcome, welcome. They don't know that they've been doomed. They show up there, just empty vessels looking to be filled. That's happening in the material world. Now, I don't think that the world is, some of you might think that the world's inherently evil, but we're here. So I don't think that the other world is inherently evil. I can't broad stroke it all. I can't broad stroke it as all good. All types of things. The whole point is you can't go into a sensitive situation without training and without something by your side. And there's something there. And it makes me wonder how it balances out with my faith. And I've found a lot of really interesting threads to pull on, philosophically and otherwise. But in all matters of this type, I usually just really scramble to put on that armor of God. And of course, I don't have the balls to try this shit. But then again, there are people in my life who don't have any intention of trying it either, but they have been jettisoned out of their body at night. My friend George, he pulled me aside. We all went out to dinner a couple of years ago. Me and the guys, we all went out to this restaurant a couple of towns over. And you know how it is when a bunch of guys get together or a bunch of people get together and, all these side conversations break out and everywhere. And I think that it was probably around the time that Dr. Albert Taylor had come on for the first time. I was telling him about it, and he said, dude, did I ever tell you this happens to me? I said, no. He goes, if I don't smoke a joint and a half before I go to bed every night, I will be shot out of my body. I will go up, it seems like hundreds of miles. And I have control of myself, but at the same time I don't. And then all of a sudden I come just zipping down into my body again, and then boom, I wake up, and it's exhausting. And if I don't smoke before I go to bed, it is. And he's of sound mind. He's not nuts. A hard worker. He's got a great family. He's smart. But this happens to people. You can't tell me that it is just autopilot evil. Okay? But I do believe that some people's religious beliefs, even though it has kept them in line and kept them well behaved, it also limits their considerations too. So I think maybe everybody has a little bit of limited perspective on this stuff. That's why I've regained enough of my faith to keep that near and dear as a shield while I continue to ask questions, and that's kept me in the game. But I will not be inducing sleep paralysis anytime soon. It's not going to happen. Okay, not going to happen. I had almost a full-blown meltdown because I nibbled a little bit too much off of a spiked chocolate bar 5 years ago. You think I'm going to? No, it's not going to happen. But I will continue to talk to people and ask strange questions and hopefully get some strange answers. All right, guys. Thank you. I will talk to you soon. And thanks for everything. We'll see you tomorrow night. See you tomorrow night for Saturday. We'll be off Sunday and Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. But a whole bunch of stuff, extras in between. Nighty-night. Get to quitefrankly.tv.
I'll catch you on the flip.
Will you shut up?
No.